Will by Alex Alvarez. Fade in. Exterior Will's house, night. A crimson four-door is parked alongside the curb. A closer look reveals foggy windows and barely concealed moans coming from inside the car.
No, wait. Ow. Shit, sorry.
Interior Charles's car. Charles, mid-40s, good shape, disengages from Will, frustrated. Will, 50s, handsome, looks after him rather disappointed. They are both breathing heavily. Something supercharged has ended.
I just don't understand why we can't just go inside.
Will gives him a look like this again.
I told you, I have a roommate.
Charles shrugs at him like, so what?
I'm starting to think you don't like me very much.
What? No, it's not that.
I'm gonna go.
Will gives him an endearing look. Charles averts his eyes for a moment, then furiously turns to Will.
How long have we been doing this?
Will is taken off guard. He searches for words that will appease Charles.
Well, we met at Victor's party, right? When was that?
Charles, eyes wide open, looks at Will as if to say, you figure it out. Will doesn't know the answer. He reaches out to Charles apologetically. Charles avoids his touch. Will gets the picture. He lets out a sigh of disappointment, opens the glove compartment, grabs his sunglasses and wallet, and gets out of the car. Exterior Will's house. Standing outside the car, Will leans down to look into the passenger side window for one final look, but the car immediately peels away. Will is left standing alone. Disappointed but not defeated, he walks toward the one-story house. The lawn is tightly mowed and bare. The front porch has 2 or 3 pale lawn chairs stacked in front of a large window. Interior Will's house, moments later. Will opens the door to a pitch-black house. The faint light from the outside leaks in through the door as Will walks in. He immediately turns on the light. The house is rich in earth tones, browns, beiges, dark reds. Furniture is covered in plastic. A large piece of Renaissance artwork hangs on one side of the wall. The other sides are filled with portraits, some black and white, others in color. There are at least 5 different faces on the wall. On other open surfaces, more pictures of relatives, friends of the family, and acquaintances. Will's bathroom. Will looks at himself in the mirror. He briefly forces a smile, then lets it go. Turning on the faucet, he splashes it on his face. Will looks again to see if anything has changed, then wipes his hands on a towel and leaves. Carmen's bedroom. The door opens on a dark room. Will walks in and turns on the light. Again, earth tones. All the bedroom furniture is dark wood. A medium-sized television stands solitary atop a large dresser. On a king-sized bed lies a figure covered up to its forehead. A thin head of gray hair is all that is visible. Will walks over to the bed, uncovers the figure, and reveals Carmen, his mother, 80s, curled up, frail, mouth open, and faintly snoring. He leans over, gives her a kiss on the forehead, walks to the open door, looks back, and turns off the light. Exterior Will's house, day. The sun reveals a messier-looking porch. The chairs are gray and dusty. There are smudges on the windows, small clumps of dirt on the porch. The daytime does wonders for the lawn, but not the house. Interior Will's house. The alarm goes off, and Will is startled awake. He scrambles out of bed, opens the bedroom door, and heads to Carmen's room. Carmen's bedroom. The furniture in Carmen's room has a thin layer of dust on it. More pictures are revealed on night tables and walls. Will walks over to his mom, gently removes the blanket. For a moment, he stands still, staring at her body. It appears motionless. Then her abdomen fills up with air and he relaxes.
Get up, sleepyhead.
He gently caresses her thin head of hair. She doesn't budge. He leans up close and whispers in her ear.
Mom, it's morning. Time to get up.
Carmen shifts her body.
Carlito.
No, Mom, it's Willie. It's your son.
Mijo, estoy cansada.
Come on, Mom. You've slept enough. Time to take a bath.
Though resistant at first, Carmen acquiesces to her son and their routine. Carmen's bathroom. The bathroom is pale pink except for the sink and the towel rods that are white.
Arms.
Carmen puts her arms up. Will takes off his mother's gown.
Down.
She puts her arms down, then he takes off her disposable underwear. When Carmen is completely undressed, she places one hand on the wall and steadies herself. Will pulls open the shower curtain, turns on the faucet, and feels for the right temperature.
Okay, slowly.
Will takes his mom's hands and pulls her toward the tub.
Careful. Left leg.
His hand behind Carmen's left leg, he helps her get in the tub.
Now the right.
He does the same with her right leg, then helps her sit. Carmen squeezes Will's hand at the feel of the water as she immerses herself in it.
Caliente, hot.
Okay. I'll just put him some more cold water.
He does. After a moment, Carmen's face relaxes and she sighs.
Better?
Carmen nods. Will grabs a sponge, lathers it, and begins to bathe his mom. Dining room, moments later. Will and Carmen are sitting at a table. He talks on the phone as he feeds his mom.
Do you really think that's fair?
When she feels the cold of her spoon on her lips, Carmen opens her mouth. A little bit of soup spills on her, and Will wipes it with a napkin.
You're also her son, Donnie. I can't be expected to do everything.
Will accidentally pokes his mother in the cheek with the spoon.
Oh.
Shit, Mom. Sorry.
Will, irritated, listen to the person on the line.
Fine. I'll call you later. Lydia's coming over in a few minutes so that I can go run errands. All right. Okay, bye.
Will hangs up the phone. Carmen isn't opening her mouth to eat.
All done?
Carmen nods. There's a knock on the door. Will gets up to go get it. Interior gym day. The place is packed with people and equipment. The early risers are up at the gym before work. Hip-hop blasts through the speakers. Will walks in, shorts and tight shirt with sunglasses. Will spots a man, 30s, muscular, in biker shorts and a tank top on one of the machines. He casually walks by the man, but he's too engaged to his workout to notice. Will gets on a treadmill behind the man so that he can watch him. After a moment, the man moves to another machine close by. Will decides to stay put where he can keep an eye on the man. After Will has already worked up a sweat, the man gets up from his last machine, grabs his towel, wipes himself down, and walks away. Will immediately shuts off the treadmill, grabs his stuff, and follows him. Locker rooms. There seem to be an endless row of lockers. Will nonchalantly walks by each room to see if he spots the man. A couple of guys getting dressed in suits and ties notice him. Will nods.
Sup?
They both nod and turn back to each other. There's an MOS among them. Will scurries along. The man is nowhere to be found. In the distance, Will hears a toilet flush and looks toward the sound. The man appears coming out of the bathroom and walks towards a locker. Will casually walks over to where he is and sits on a bench. He starts to take off his shoes. The man does not notice him. As the man gets undressed, Will never loses sight of him, his back, his arms, his legs, and finally his completely naked body. Will, staring at the man's crotch, suddenly looks up and notices the man looking directly at him. Will, embarrassed, looks away. The man grabs a towel, wraps it around his waist, and walks over to the shower. Before he's out of sight, he looks over to Will. Will immediately gets up and follows him. Moments later, Will comes out of the showers, completely clothed, soaking wet, and pretending nothing has happened. Exterior Will's house, day. Will's car pulls into the driveway. He gets out, grabs groceries from the back seat, and heads to the door. Interior Will's house. The sound of the door is heard from the kitchen. A key rattles in the door and then it opens. Will, in gym clothes, now dry, appears in the kitchen and puts away the groceries. The sound of a television is heard in the other room.
Lydia, I'm back.
Lydia, 70s, well-dressed and elegantly made up, walks in.
Wow, looks like you brought back the whole store.
She kisses him on the cheek and helps him put some things away.
How's Mom?
She's fine, Papo. We're just watching some TV. She doesn't really say much, but she enjoys it.
Did she eat anything while I was gone?
And dulcito, a little candy I had in my purse. You should have seen her face. She looked like she was in heaven.
Lydia laughs, but Will remains serious.
That's all she seems to want to eat these days. Sweets.
Lydia puts a hand on his shoulder.
Papo, how's that old girlfriend of yours? Maria, was it? Oh, she was such a nice girl. What happened to her?
Will rolls his eyes, but Lydia can't see.
We're still friends. She doesn't live here anymore, though.
Aye, she was so pretty. And you guys looked so good together. What a cute couple.
Will puts away a bag of sugar and slams the cabinet door closed. Lydia is startled but not entirely put off by it. She leans over and gives him a kiss on the cheek.
You're such a good boy, helping your mother. She's very lucky to have you.
Will doesn't say anything.
Bueno, I'm off. I have to meet my boyfriend Ricky. He's taking me out to a fancy lunch.
She gives Will a wink and he smiles.
Bye, you beautiful lady. I'll see you soon.
Lydia goes. Will walks over to the living room and joins his mom. Carmen silently sits in her chair, intently staring off into space. Will puts his hand on her shoulder.
Hey, Mom.
Carmen puts her hands on his and kisses it. Will is unexpectedly touched.
Me and Willie, my son.
After a moment, Will takes his hand away, sits on a chair next to his mom, and watches TV. Bedroom evening. Will is getting ready for bed. He puts on his glasses and grabs his phone from the night table. No messages. He sits at the edge of his bed, opens his contacts, and scrolls down to Charles. He wants to call, but he fights the urge and puts the phone back on the night table. He walks away for a moment, then comes back, sits, and repeats the same action. This time he opens up his text messages and types, "I'm sorry about yesterday. Come over?" He deletes it, puts the phone away, and gets in bed. Interior Will's house, day. Alarm sounds. Same routine. Will is startled awake, but immediately gets up and walks out to check on his mother. Carmen's bedroom. She's still there, same position, appears to be breathing. He gingerly closes the door to her room and goes. Dining room, later. Will sits drinking coffee and reading the paper. There's an empty plate with crumbs on it directly in front of him. He calmly reads the newspaper. He takes a last sip of coffee and goes to Carmen's room. Carmen's bedroom. Will opens the door to the room and immediately turns on the lights. He walks over to his mom and gently brushes his hand through her hair.
Time to get up, sleepyhead.
As usual, she doesn't wake up right away.
Mom, it's time to wake up.
She doesn't budge. He gently pulls off the covers and puts his hand on her to wake her. He starts back. She's cold to the touch. For a moment, he doesn't say anything. Then he moves closer to her and whispers,
Mammy?
He takes a moment, steps back, and assesses the situation. Soon his eyes well up with tears. He reaches out to touch her again. As his skin makes contact with her skin, he can't hold it in any longer. Will covers his mom, trying to hold in the sound of him sobbing. He begins to shake, but doesn't move from beside his mother. One hand stays on her, the other covers his mouth. Fade 2. Exterior Will's house day. Will sits on the edge of the porch staring at his feet. The sun is beaming. The front door is left slightly ajar. After a moment, a crimson car pulls up. Will remains in a daze. The driver's seat opens and Charles walks out. The sight of Will on the porch stops him in his tracks. After a moment, Charles walks calmly over to Will and sits next to him. Will doesn't look up. They sit there quietly, taking in the day, the moment. Then Charles places his hand on Will's knee. Will fights back tears. Charles touches Will's head and puts his arm around his shoulders, bringing him closer. Will falls into him, softly giving in his affection.
It's okay. I'm here.
Interior Will's house day. Will and Charles walk in the door. Charles looks around, taking in all the pictures and plastic-covered furniture for the first time.
I see why you never let me in.
Will stifles a laugh.
Bitch.
Will keeps walking toward the kitchen. Charles stops to look at a picture of Will as a boy. He smiles to himself. Kitchen. Will starts to make some coffee, but Charles interrupts him.
Let me do that.
Will is touched.
It's okay. It'll just take a minute.
Charles places his hand on Will's. He looks him in the eyes.
Okay, it's all yours.
Will walks over to the dining room table and watches Charles. Charles doesn't notice him. Once he finishes the coffee, he starts cleaning the dishes.
So when is the whole family coming in?
Well, I told Donnie to fly in the day after tomorrow. I still have some things to take care of. I don't want him to overwhelm me.
How'd he take it?
Typical Donnie. Cried like a baby even though he hasn't seen her in years.
Coffee machine beeps. Charles grabs 2 clean mugs, fills them with coffee, sits next to Will, and hands the mug to him.
Thanks.
Anytime.
Charles places his hand tenderly on Will's. For a moment, Will is lost in thought, staring at the mug before him. He then looks at their hands and pulls his away.
Charles, I'm gone.
Charles looks at Will and briefly touches his shoulder.
I know.
Will looks up at Charles.
She's gone, but she'll always be with you.
A grave look comes over Will's face.
No. I'm gone. I'm a ghost. I don't exist.
Will, you're right here.
Will shakes his head.
No. I'm gone.
Will, eyes welling up with tears, looks deep into Charles' eyes.
You're amazing.
Charles is touched, reaches out for Will's hand.
But I can't.
Caught off guard, Charles slowly pulls back his hand, hurt and confused.
I have no life. I gave her my life.
Will, still looking into Charles' eyes, gives himself over to his tears. After a moment, Charles reaches again for Will's hand, but Will pulls it away. Charles gets up to go.
Okay.
Charles starts to say more, but gives up. He walks out of the kitchen, leaving Will sitting alone. A door closes in the distance. Will lets out a gentle sigh. He looks up and studies a picture hanging on the wall before him. Will, early 20s, stands next to his mom, 50s. He's in a cap and gown, diploma in hand, smile beaming. A man filled with promise. Tears in eyes, Will gets lost in the photo. He gradually snaps out of it, wipes his tears away, walks over to the sink, and starts washing his mug. The house is empty and silent around him, save for the sound of running water and his own breath.